Tonight on One News, a terrorist attack in a supermarket. Gunshots ring out as police shoot a man dead after the attack in Auckland. Multiple people are stabbed and shoppers flee in panic. The Prime Minister confirms it was a known individual. Kia ora, good evening. We begin tonight with a terrorist attack in an Auckland supermarket that's left multiple people injured and the alleged offender fatally shot by police. More details are still coming in, but the Prime Minister's confirmed he was a known extremist, a Sri Lankan national. Armed police and emergency services rushed to the mall, where the man was shot and died at the scene. The attack occurred at the Countdown supermarket at Lynn Mall in the West Auckland suburb of New Lynn, just over 10 kilometres from downtown Auckland. We've extensive coverage as developments come in. The One News team is at the scene, the hospital and at Parliament, where the Prime Minister and Police Commissioner have just fronted media. First, we begin with political editor Jessica Mackay and the attacker known to authorities. Jess.
That's right, Wendy. We've just wrapped up an update from the Prime Minister and the Police Commissioner on this significant story. The man was originally from Sri Lanka. He moved to New Zealand in 2011 and he was on the government's watch list from 2016. So he has been monitored and known to authorities for the last 5 years. Now, the reason he raised suspicion and raised concerns with police and other authorities was because he was viewed as a violent extremist, because of his ISIS-inspired views and because of his violent ideology. He was known to the Prime Minister. Here is what Jacinda Ardern had to say.
What happened today was despicable. It was hateful. It was wrong. It was carried out by an individual, not a faith, not a culture, not an ethnicity, but an individual person who was gripped by ideology that is not supported here by anyone or any community. He alone carries the responsibility for these acts. Let that be where the judgment falls.
And Jess, what more do we know about this man?
So we have been told that he was being constantly monitored 24 hours a day, which means that police were with him when he went to the supermarket. Now, that raises questions, and we put those to the Police Commissioner about why, if he was being so closely monitored, these people were still able to be injured. And his response was that they got to the man within 60 seconds and that these officers prevented further injury. Now, they wouldn't elaborate on further deaths or what the man had planned, but here is what the Police Commissioner had to say.
He entered the store as he had done before. He obtained a knife from within the store. Surveillance teams were as close as they possibly could be to monitor his activity. When the commotion started, 2 police tactical operators from the STG moved to his location and engaged him. When he approached them with the knife, he was shot and killed.
Now, even though this man was shot and killed, as the Police Commissioner says, there are still some issues with suppression and the details that can be released around the timeline into how this played out. So we will bring you those details as soon as we can and as soon as they are able to be known to the public. What's important to point out is that the Prime Minister stressed that the reason that he was being monitored is because the current system didn't allow him to stay in jail. So we'll be able to share more of that shortly. He was also known to the Prime Minister. She stresses that there are only a few people, a very few number of people who are on that high priority list that come across the Prime Minister's desk. He is one of them, so she was aware of that. And when she heard the news this afternoon, she said she was gutted because, in her words, they did everything they could to keep New Zealand safe. Now, it comes not far after March 15. It is another attack on New Zealand Australian soil, and you can be sure that there is going to be a forensic examination into exactly how this played out.
Ngā mihi, Jessica Makai at Parliament, and as Jess said, we will bring any new developments as they come in during the news hour. Well, the attack created panic for numerous shoppers at the mall. Here's Jordan Rudd with how it all unfolded and a warning some viewers might find her report upsetting.
There's somebody in there with a knife, whānau.
A Friday afternoon shopping trip erupting in violence. In confusion and fear, shoppers, some with children, running for the car park.
Go inside.
Inside, a man is seen on the floor before gunfire breaks out.
At approximately 2:40 p.m, a violent extremist undertook a terrorist attack on innocent New Zealanders in the New Lynn countdown in Auckland.
The drama captured on social media.
He stabbed this woman when she came out. I was going in. I went down to the other end. There was an old gentleman, European man, lying on the ground. He got stabbed up.
The Sri Lankan national took a knife from the store and stabbed several people before being shot and killed by officers who were following him.
He was closely watched by surveillance teams and a tactical team to monitor his actions and behaviour.
2 undercover police came past and I knew they were. They said, where is he? And I had a feeling he was at the end. They ran down the end. And then within 3 to 5 seconds, gunshot, 4 or 5 shots.
Basically, a phone call from my wife is saying that somebody got stabbed. Yeah, there was so many police around. It was chaos. It was sort of chaos that happened. There was so many bangers. Like the food was down or whatever, or cans was dropping on the floor and all that. There was so much noise. Well, all she said to me was that somebody got stabbed. But saying that, I don't even know the full story.
A nearby pharmacy and vaccination centre was also put into lockdown.
I was just picking up my prescription today from the chemist warehouse. Heard a big bang. We got ushered to the back room. Everybody just said run. Person with a gun.
So I heard the gunshots, and then the people at the pharmacy obviously shut down everything, and then we all then went into little rooms where people were hiding behind shelves, and then we were in there about five to 7 minutes. They called the police, and then after that they escorted out the other way of the outside. So they took us out, single filed, and then everyone was just there.
6 people were taken to hospital.
We responded 5 ambulances and multiple response vehicles here to treat those patients.
Questions now about how a terror attack could have happened at this suburban Auckland shopping mall.
And Jordan is at the scene in New Lynn. What can you tell us about police raids on the terrorist house, Jordan?
Kia ora, Wendy. Well, as we heard, police said this man was a known threat and had been since 2016, which is why up until now had been under constant surveillance. Police say the offender travelled from his house in Gleneden to the Countdown supermarket here behind me. Armed police are still on his street in Gleneden, where there is also a mosque in connection to the incident, and a car is currently blocking access to the street. Back here, it appears all Countdown and pharmacy staff have been evacuated. They were locked down in the mall here for quite some time. At 4:30, we saw a group of staff, around 20 to 25 people, huddled in a small group, escorted out by police, all looking visibly shaken as to what they had just seen. There's still a heavy police presence here. You can probably hear the Eagle helicopter overhead now, and it looks like police will remain here for some time as they try to piece together just what happened.
Thank you, Jordan. Jordan Rudd in New Lynn, West Auckland. Now for the latest on the stabbing victims. Vardna Barn is at Auckland Hospital. Any updates, Vardna?
Yes, Wendy. Well, in today's devastating events, 6 people have been injured with stab wounds. 3 were rushed in a critical condition to Auckland City Hospital here, and 1 in a serious condition to Auckland City Hospital. Another was taken in a moderate condition to Lynn Mall Hospital, and the 6th again in moderate condition to Waitakere Hospital. Now, just while the events were unfolding, I did talk to Auckland DHB this afternoon, and they said that they were completely under the pump at that moment, really trying to get their resources for whatever the situation may be this afternoon. And of course, with COVID, Auckland City Hospital is under immense pressure, this just adding to it, Wendy.
Indeed. All right, thank you for the update, Vardna Barn at Auckland Hospital. So here is what Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern and Police Commissioner Andrew Costa have revealed about the terrorist. The individual was under heavy surveillance because of concerns about his ISIS-inspired ideology. He was under heavy and constant surveillance because he was a known threat to New Zealand. He was a Sri Lankan national who arrived here in 2011, but became a person of national significance in 2016. However, much more is not able to be reported because of a suppression order made by the courts.